pilot is now like holding this sign and it says, "Will you marry me?" And I have no idea. So like there's funny photos, I don't even know where they are now, but of me still posing, just oblivious that the sign's right next to me and says, "Will you marry me?" And Josh is looking at me like, "Are you gonna look?"
Yeah, like I'm like, "Are you gonna look at this? Like, what's good?" And then it was the photographer that said,
"Hey, what's that?
Yeah, what's this over here?" Like
and
that.
So I look over, and then of course he gets down on one knee, and he's holding the most beautiful ring I've ever seen, and I'm just like, "You have to be kidding me!" Like, this is really. I think I asked you, "Are you serious?"
Love stories fill us with joy and inspire hope for the future. And a true life romance can remind us that sometimes just one spark is all it takes to change everything. She kept him in the friend zone for years and tried to ignore the spark that was burning, but he took his time and tenderly nurtured it into a flame. Welcome to Unexpected Love Stories. I'm your host, Dawn Prushkovsky. Our guests today are so precious. Josh and Ashley Layton are originally from Washington State, but now they live in southern Utah with their 2 daughters. Josh is an amazing recruiter, and Ashley is such a creative entrepreneur. They love family adventures into nature with their VW bus that Josh restored and renovated into a camper. And you'll love their story of faith, family, and a love that just continues to grow stronger over time. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
So glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too. I can't wait to hear this story. I think it's something that everyone needs to hear.
It's been an eventful one.
You sure teed us up well.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, let's start with how you two met. How'd you become friends? What were you doing?
Okay. I'll start this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So after some college in northern Nevada in the Reno Tahoe area, I moved back to Washington where I was originally born and pursued a little bit of college, decided to go to beauty school, and I met this girl, Heather. Heather became one of my very best friends. We just clicked. She was an esthetician. We worked at a day spa together. And Josh and Heather had gone to high school together. And so when I moved back to Washington, I have a lot of family there. It was fun. I was young, I was in my early 20s, and I hung out with my cousins. We were all the same age, and I became friends with all of their friends. But Heather was like my special friend, like my friend that wasn't family. And so we ran in a great circle. We had tons of friends, guys and girls, and we loved to go out karaokeing on the weekends and bar hop and just kind of paint the town. It was the prime of my life, I'll say that. Living on my own, living with some family, and Josh and I ran in the same circle. But it's funny because we were friends for a good 2.5 years before anything changed. And no offense, but I never thought twice about you in any romantic way. It was,
I didn't either.
Yeah,
it really didn't.
It was casual. I'd see him out. I'm 5'8", almost 5'9", curvy blonde hair. At the time I had red hair. I'm a hairdresser, so I changed my hair often. But all the women I would see him out with were short, very big chested, tiny little things with long brown hair. Like totally, I don't know that I didn't think about him romantically, but I didn't, but I also didn't think I was even his type. So we were casual. We'd see each other out. But I've always really been into snowboarding, and turns out he was too. I knew he was kind of an outdoorsy guy, just based on the company we kept. We all had a lot in common. We did sing on stage at a karaoke bar one night, like while I was dating another guy he knew, like totally platonic, not interested, just had fun, but I knew he was a good time. And he was trustworthy. He went to school with my friend Heather. They were like besties. And so when I had posted on social media that I wanted to go snowboarding, if anyone was going and wanted to join me, he was the first to chime in. And he said, "Well, hey, I'm already going tomorrow," randomly. And, but I'm going to a different mountain. If you want to tag along with me and my friends, like, the invite is open. And I like didn't hesitate at all. I was like, okay, like that'd be cool. I don't have anyone in Washington that I got to go snowboarding with. It wasn't something that I did there. I did it in college all the time, but I really wanted to start doing it in Washington. They have great mountains there. And I knew he liked that. And so I was like, sure, I'll come. So what, you picked me up at my dad's, I think, that night?
Yeah, this is the first time we hung out kind of one on one, because we've
Ever.
always been in the group sort of setting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I remember being a little nervous just because we were going to hang out with his friends who I had never met before. And one of them happened to be a girl. We were going to a girl's house. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, is this one of Josh's, like, girlfriend bimbo? Like, no offense, but like, I was a little nervous. But we went up. It was an hour and a half drive. We had fun. It was like casual, easy. We woke up the next morning, went snowboarding, drove another hour and a half to get there. So it was a 3-hour drive in total. And we got to kind of know each other in the car. It was easy. It was always easy to be around Josh. We had really good conversation. We were both really into music too, and had a lot of just like parallels in life. And I was like, okay, like Josh is fun. No wonder everyone likes Josh. And we went on the mountain, and I was a pretty good snowboarder. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I really like enjoy the sport. And I think you were impressed a little. I felt like there was maybe a little flirting.
There was definitely a little spark there for me, because I've had my fair share of just dating girls off and on, and that's always been a passion of mine is snowboarding, but I've never had anybody close to really being on my level, like being able to kind of keep up. And she totally could. So I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. Like having a girlfriend, in quotes, that can keep up with me. So that was I would say that was probably the first little spark for me, at least. Not fully like engaged in like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm ready to date, but I was little bit of a turn on for me. I was like, oh, that's attractive to me, and
I think I even remember you like throwing a snowball at me. Like I was like, are we flirting? Like what is happening? I don't even know what's happening. But it wasn't anything to like question at that point. And so we rode all day. We had a lot of fun. His friends were great. And then we decided we weren't staying the night at his friends on the way back. We were going to drive back to the Tacoma area. And it was going to be just over 3 hours. And so it was a long drive home. We were both exhausted, tired, but like we really got into deep conversations. That's the first time I ever remember like getting to really know you. And we like completely bonded over songs. I think we each got even emotional at one point. Like we learned we had both been engaged before. We had failed relationships. We both had been single for about 3 years at that point. Struggled to kind of find that person that we felt was willing to give the same effort that we had in our past relationships. We shared, I think we were both open and ready to meet someone, but it just like had to make sense.
Yeah, and even really at that time, I still wasn't thinking like girlfriend material. I was thinking, this is a really cool girl. And a little backstory on that, I've had a lot of just platonic girlfriends over the years that are just friends of mine, like truly just friends of mine. And of course, I would date somebody and they would meet a few girlfriends and they always thought it was just a little bit odd. They're like, man, you have a lot of girlfriends. And I'm like,
that are girls.
A lot of them I grew up with. I really did. A lot of them I grew up with. Some of them, we might dive into it a little bit later, but I've always felt like I've needed to be a protector to a lot of women in my life that I care about deeply. And so I always kind of felt like I needed to be more of a brother figure to a lot of the girlfriends that that I've been around most of my life. And it's funny, they would always call me and say, I'm dating this guy, what do you think? And so they'd always kind of call me for advice. And so yeah, maybe a little bit different than an atypical guy where there may be red flags from a woman where it's like, oh man, he's got a lot of girlfriends, maybe he's a womanizer or a player or something. it's never really been my MO. I wasn't a serial dater. I wasn't a cheater. I wasn't
Mhm.
somebody that was, out for the one night stands. That was never my thing. When I was interested in somebody, it lasted a long time. And then when it didn't, it's, organically that the next one would happen. But it was never seeking, lust or, just like I said, the whole one night stand sort of
Calm,
thing.
cool,
So
and collected. That was Josh's MO.
yeah.
But anyway, we
So
we drove drove home, and I just remember kind of ending the night with like, I am so tired. I just want to like go home and order a pizza and crash. Like, I need my bed like now. And he was like, "Well, that sounds good. Do you want to come over and have pizza and watch a movie?" And I was like, "Thank you for the invite, but no. Like, I don't. Like, I need to go to bed." And so we went our separate ways. He dropped me off. And over the next, like, we obviously had exchanged numbers at that point. And over the next like week or two, he invited me over a few times. And I'd say yes, not really thinking too much into it again. A little questionable, like, did we have fun? Like, is this gonna happen, turn into something? Or again, are we just like gonna see where this friendship goes, now that we're friends? Um, and for some reason, every time that it was time to either go or follow through with the plans, I would cancel. Like, I that was so not like me, but I just found myself canceling every time, like a handful of times. I think what it went on for like 3 weeks of just
yeah,
like,
I'd say probably, honestly, probably 4 or 5 cancellations.
yeah.
Really?
And leading literally up to maybe like 20 minutes before I'm supposed to be there, I would just like
Oh yeah, there was a few
not
that
go.
was, yeah,
Was
right, like right when she's about to show up. Oh, I can't
Oh,
make
I
it, and
can't
I'm
make
like,
it. Sorry.
all
was
right.
was that on
So
purpose, Ashley, or was that like
I
legit? Something came up.
Oh no, it was both. I just I started to get a little in my head, and I don't even know what it was. I just like had this weird feeling where like I just kind of was like, what's happening? Like, I don't know what I want, and it didn't feel right in that moment. I'll just say that, but I was nervous. I think I was very nervous. Um and so he stopped calling. And a few more weeks went by, and I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Um I worked in at a spa up in this town called Bonnie Lake, and I had to drive through Puyallup, which was where he lived, to get back to Tacoma, where I lived. It was about a 40-minute drive. And I got off early one day, and I text him and just said, "Hey, any chance you're up for a movie tonight? I'm getting off early." And his exact words right back were like, "Yeah, as long as you're not going to be a flake." As long as you're not going to flake out on me. And I was like, okay, man. Yep. Calling me out. I will be there in 30 minutes. And I remember I showed up there, and it was easy. It was friendly. We watched a movie. He didn't touch me. He didn't hardly even hug me. Like, there was zero flirting, zero flirting. And I was like, I remember leaving there that night thinking, Ashley, you are so dumb. Like, you got so nervous about nothing. You're just another friend that's a girl in Josh's life. Like, there was nothing there. I don't know what you thought was sparking or whatever. And I went home, kind of relieved, but like laughing, more so laughing, making fun of myself. And then within an hour, I got a text. Do you remember what the text said?
I had fun tonight. Hope to see you again soon. Or
Yeah,
something along those
I'd love to
lines.
take you to dinner
Yeah, I'd love to take
sometime.
you to dinner or something. So yeah, I mean, even for me, the first night of hanging out and even all of the build up, I guess leading up to the first time hanging out, I still had no idea what I wanted either. All I know is I had fun with her, and that was about it. I mean, it wasn't much deeper for me. It was just more of a curiosity thing. Um, and again, with me having girlfriends, that are just girlfriends, um, I wanted to see, is this just a girlfriend or could this turn into something? And really deep down for me at least, I was okay with either one because
Mm-hmm.
I had
Same.
such a good time with her. And so that kind of led to, I would say, the next
Couple
really
months.
couple months of figuring out like, what is this? All I know in my own words, and I've said this from day one, is it didn't make any sense, even to me. I know it didn't make sense to her. It didn't make sense to me, but all I know I wanted was to be around her. Like I just wanted to be around her. I didn't know what that meant. I was confused. I was like, okay, am I really into her? Or is this just another close friend?
Yeah.
I don't know, but all I know is I want to be around her.
It
And
it was
yeah,
very slow though. I will
it
say for
was.
me, it was probably the slowest start of any relationship I've ever had.
Same for me. It really
We
was.
it was annoyingly slow for me. Well, I'll tell one story.
Okay.
We kept we'd go out. So we started like going out with our same group of friends, but we
Mm-hmm.
started showing up together. And no one ever really said anything. No one asked. They just people knew like Ashley and Josh are arriving together. It was kind of this unsaid thing. And um honestly, like I was spending probably 4 or 5 days a week with you, like between either daytime hanging out or a casual, spend the night here and there. We were not intimate. We hardly kissed, but like I would sleep over. Like we would, snuggle and cuddle, but it was not physical, like intimacy at all. And I was so used to every guy I've ever dated. It was like hot, fast, furious, like not always probably healthy in
Mm-hmm.
my spiritual world, my
Yeah.
my like faith, but like that's I was used to men wanting me, desiring me, and Josh was very slow. Um we'd go out and like we'd be sitting next to each other, and Josh grew up in Tacoma. I didn't. I grew up in Las Vegas. And so girls, people would come up to him all the time when we're out and about, and he would start talking and never introduce me. Like I wasn't used to that, and I'm like, okay, we're 3 months in at this point. You don't even introduce me to anyone. I didn't feel we had never had the talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not his girlfriend, but I know we're seeing each other. Like, I'm ready to either take that next step or like, we got to figure this out because at this stage of hanging out, I'm like, we're either going to ruin our friendship because like I've caught feelings and I don't know where you're at, or we just need to call this just friends and be friends and not make this weird. Like either all in or not. And he just kept saying things like, well, I'm just not on the same page. I'm just not sure. And I was like, that's crap, So there was one night we went out to listen to some live music, and he's sitting at the table with the rest of the guy friends that we were there with. And a girl walks up, and same thing happened. I wasn't introduced. It was a little bit of a trigger for me. And I went and stood away about 20 feet away and started listening to the music. And a gentleman came up and started talking to me, and I knew exactly what I was doing. I batted my eyes and smiled and just had a nice conversation. This guy actually, we studied the same thing in college. We had a lot in common. And he asked for my number and I gave it to him. And Josh watched the whole thing. And I was, I guess, playing a little bit of a game, but I'm like, you know what? If you can't figure it out, then like I'm going to open my
Mm-hmm.
options
It's
because
like,
I know what I was worth.
yeah, it's like a chess,
Yeah,
like your chess move, kind of
a
like,
little bit. I had to play a move a little bit just to get a little fire risen out of him. He was so calm and cool all the time, and um
And that was smart. I mean, it was. It was smart of her to do that
so
because
yeah, you came up and you're like, who's
it
this?
kind of fired me up. Like I walked right over and I'm like, "Who's your friend?" Like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, who's this guy?" And that was really, I would say,
Turning point.
it was the turning point where I'm like, okay, based on my reaction, I'm a little bit of an overanalyzer. Based on my reaction, I'm like, okay, there's definitely feelings here of more than just, hey, this is Ash, my friend.
Yeah.
And it's it's sad that it had to come that way, but that's a part of the story, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So it's I'm glad it did. I mean, that was probably one of the best nights, funny enough, ever, because it led us to something more than whatever we were at the time.
It brought up conversations that we hadn't had yet. It
Yeah.
in a fighting scenario. I mean, we've never really
Yeah.
yelled and fought, but like it allowed us to ask each other those questions like, what are we doing? what is this? I'm ready for more. If you're not, then I'm okay walking away because I also know what I'm worth. I said those words to him. Like, I value me. And if you don't in this way, then that's okay. But like, I choose you. I don't need you. I remember saying that to you. Like, I don't need to be with you. I want to be with you. But if you don't reciprocate that, then let's just be friends. And there was a lot of other things happening in my life at the time. I have a father that battles some addiction and living situations. Life was kind of mm, not very healthy for me at that point. And we had a moment where we kind of like, again, this wishy-washiness, one foot in, one foot out. Like, we kind of called it quits for a hot second, for like 2 weeks kind of thing, where it's just like, you need to figure it out because I'm over it. Like, I'm ready to be with you, and I'm sick of waiting for you to get on the same page as me. Like, I'm moving on. And I think like within 2 to 3 weeks, you invited me over. He said, I love you. We said, I love you. We went out with friends. I said it first, actually. And he asked me to move in, like all within the same week. So life from there kind of really started to, I think, move quicker. I had never said I love you to a guy first. We were out dancing and it just kind of slipped out of my mouth. And I was like, oh, crap.
Oh.
And he kind of laughed at me and he's like, I love you too. It was like so not romantic, but it was. I was like, oh, dang it. Like, I couldn't hold it in anymore. And then we moved in together. And 3 months after that, we moved to Las Vegas on a
Yeah, I
whim
mean, it was.
to be near my family.
Yeah, we went from like, what the heck are we for 4 months to wham, bam, new state, moving in, new life, all within a matter of a couple months after we said, essentially, yes, we're in. I do.
Yeah.
And
He was up for an adventure. I was kind of, in a sense, coming home. I grew up in the Las Vegas Valley area with my immediate family. My mom and my siblings were still living there at the time. And I have a sister with heart disease. And so it had been about 9 years between Reno for college and then back in Washington and dating him and the life we had kind of made in Washington when my sister had to have a major procedure done on her heart. And it kind of put into perspective for me how much I really missed. I was homesick. I missed my siblings. And he was like, let's move. And I was like, wait, what? Like, huh? Like, we're not even solid. Like, we're not close to being engaged. I'm like, we are barely actually now committed to each other. And he's like, let's go. He's like, what do we have to lose? The worst that happens is we end up right back here.
It's on. You're in
Yep.
Vegas.
mm-hmm,
Brand new life.
mm-hmm.
Growing together. When did the proposal happen? And how did it happen?
So I'd say about 2 years in,
Mm-hmm.
we both had gotten established, had good careers, had a lot of fun. We had some conversations. I felt like my clock again was ticking as a woman. I never wanted to give an ultimatum or whatever, but I came from a family of 4 divorces. My mom has been married 4 times, or 3 divorces. My mom's been married 4 times. So I didn't really have the best example. And he came from a totally opposite life. His mom and dad were together 43 years, but never married. And so at this point, we had been together close to 3.5, 4 years total.
Mm-hmm.
And no, not that long.
No,
Two
I
and
was
a
about
half,
to say,
3 years.
no, it's about two and a half.
And I'm like, okay, marriage is something I desperately want. Like, I want to be a wife someday. I see that life for me. I want a family. I want the same last name as my future kids. And we hadn't had that conversation before. And I knew that his belief on marriage was slightly different than mine just because of his upbringing. He didn't see the importance of it. It was just a piece of paper to him at first. And that was kind of frustrating. But I also knew my conviction. I'm like, hey, I love you and I love the life we're building, but like, that's a non-negotiable for me. And I knew that. So like, are you at least open to the possibility of that? Because if not, then like, what are we doing? And he was like, yes, I'm open. And I was like, okay. And that was kind of where that conversation stopped. I didn't want to poke. I didn't want to push. Obviously, like I want my future husband to want to marry me, not me push them to marry me. And And so life kept going. And why don't you talk about leading up to that,
Yeah,
because you were the one that was doing it all.
yeah. Yeah, I'd always been open to marriage because I was previously engaged. But I would say the lead up to this, of course, there's a little PTSD, right? Because it's like you don't want to do that again, right? You don't want to have to go through that again, and that's my own insecurities. Um, but yeah, when I would say I was starting to get really serious about it,
You
uh,
always say you just woke up one day.
yeah, I would say woke up one day for that and for children, which we'll go into that one too later. But yeah, it's I would say most of my life, some of my larger decisions, again, like I mentioned, I'm so over analytical, but I'll just wake up and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, no, I'm ready for that. And I can't even describe it. It's bizarre. It's almost kind of like a God moment in a way, where it's almost like he tells you in your dreams, you wake up in the morning, you accidentally say something out loud, and then you're like, wait, hold on, that kind of makes sense, I guess. And that's yeah, that's kind of where that went. It was a special moment for me because her grandmother was one of her uh closest family members, really more of a mother figure in some cases.
Best friend.
I became very, very close with her grandmother too. And I remember reaching out to her because Ash was like,
If you ever want to marry
if you
me.
ever want, yeah, my grandmother has some diamonds that she is basically kind of really, really encouraging whoever that man may be to have involved in the engagement process.
I
And
just kind of let him know that because it was really important to me. Um, and he was like, no, I don't need anyone's help.
and
And I said, no, you're missing the point. Like, it's important to me. Like, I want those diamonds in my ring.
and yeah, I'm pretty stubborn that way because I don't want to come off as, oh, I'm borrowing somebody's stuff because I can't take care of it myself, right? But after meeting with her grandma about it, because I basically talked to her grandma first before anybody else, saying, "Hey, I think I'm going to do this," and of course she, was excited, but also was grinding me out a little bit too. She's like, "Okay, well, how do you know you're ready?" And of course is asking me 21 questions, and then she's like, "I'd be honored, if you would take some of these diamonds and put them in an engagement ring." And I said, well, this means the world to me. And of course, I said, I don't want to feel like I need this. And she came right out and said it to me too. She goes, listen, you defend me if you don't take these. And so I'm like, okay, all right. So I did. Had an engagement ring made,
He designed
and
it.
I designed it all on my own.
It was my 27th or 28th birthday. I think 28th birthday.
Yeah.
And so I was in on the plans. I kind of helped. He asked me, like, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I'd never been in a helicopter. And I was like, it would be really fun to do this. And he's like, done, let's do it. And so I knew about it. I was excited. And my best friend, Jen, at the time lived with us too. And I was like, do you think he's going to do it? Like, I hope. Do you think Josh is ever going to propose? Maybe it's coming. I just had this feeling. We had kind of like talked about rings, like we had been having some conversations. So I wasn't in the dark, but I like didn't have a clue that it was happening then. That's for sure. And um so I remember thinking, like, any special thing we do, I'm going to make sure I look great, my nails are fresh, like I'm going to be ready for this moment. And so I got all dolled up. I had a brand new dress, I had my nails done, and he goes to Jen that night. Do you think she knows? Does she think something's happening tonight? Because if she thinks it's happening tonight, I'm not doing anything. And she's like, no, she hopes you're doing something tonight, but like she doesn't know anything. And so we go in this helicopter, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is it. He's going to do it when we're up in the air. Like it has to be. And we're up there and we're having fun, and it doesn't happen. Oh, let me backtrack. So we were supposed to be in a helicopter with another group of people. And we show up and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, that couple canceled. So
By the way, that was all bogus.
he
I
planned
did
it
that
that
on
way.
purpose.
But
So
you guys are alone tonight. And I was like, yes, like even better. And so we're up in the air. it's like the perfect time. The Bellagio water fountains are going off, and we're like right above it, and nothing happens. And I like remember thinking in my gut, like, okay, like it is what it is, whatever. I was so bummed. And we get down, and they had told us, like, hey, after your ride, we'll take pictures on the tarmac in front of the helicopter. And we'll do it afterwards since you're our final tour of the night. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we get out, we're taking pictures. The pilot is on Josh's other side. I'm on this side, I'm posing, my hands on my hip.
Yeah, they give us little, drinks.
Yeah, we have champagne, and they're taking photos. And I don't realize at that point that the sign that he made and had the pilot hold, the pilot is now like holding this sign, and it says, "Will you marry me?" And I have no idea. So like, there's funny photos, I don't even know where they are now, but of me still posing, just oblivious that the sign's right next to me and says, "Will you marry me?" And Josh is looking at me like, are you gonna look?
Yeah, like I'm like, are you gonna look at this? Like, what's good? And then it was the photographer that said,
"Hey, what's that?
Yeah, what's this over here?" Like
and
that.
So I look over, and then of course he gets down on one knee, and he's holding the most beautiful ring I've ever seen. And I'm just like, you have to be kidding me. Like, this is really, I think I asked you, are you serious?
Yeah, she did like 3 or 4
Are you
times.
serious?
Like, are you serious? Are you serious?
And so then it was exciting though, because it was my birthday. All my family and closest friends were meeting us for dinner after, and they all knew. So
knew what was going on.
It ended up being a
pre-engagement
engagement party when we got there too. So it was just so much fun celebrating with everyone. I just remember, like, I don't think I've ever smiled that hard, that big. And then the next year was kind of crazy.
At unexpectedlovestories.com, every click opens the door to a story that could change your day, or maybe even your life. Come explore a world where love shows up in the most surprising ways. On our website, you can watch each story unfold on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Meet the guests behind the stories, and even sneak a peek at their wedding day moments. Dive deeper into your host, Dawn, as she shares her own whirlwind love story through Love Unexpected. But it doesn't stop there. We believe that your love story matters too. That's why we created a space for you to share your own unexpected moments and a free gift to help you capture every beautiful detail. Want to stay connected? Join our email list so that you don't miss a podcast update or our subscribers perks. Your voice matters. Our email and social tabs make it easy to say hello and ask questions, or simply join a growing community that celebrates the magic of real love. Unexpected Love Stories, because sometimes the best stories are the ones you never saw coming.
Wedding planning was not our favorite season.
She was a straight up wedding monster, but on all the best of ways. Like, it's she basically just said, "Hey, I'm going to tackle all of this." And of course, like, I wanted to be involved, but not to sound like I don't want to be involved. But I knew she had this like vision.
He did.
And I'm like, this is you. Yep. This is all you. Like, I mean, you can ask me about colors, ask me about flowers, ask me about, obviously food, but I'm just going to likely do this because I already know you've got kind of that vision of what you want, and we're going to allow it to happen. And she funded about 80% of this with her own dime.
Probably more than that. Yeah.
And it's
it was a very hard year of hard work. But I, at that point, like, had such a dream and a vision, and I knew I was only going to do this once. Like, I vowed in my heart that I was going to break the cycle of my family. And when I get married to someone, that I know no one ever goes into marriage with the intention of getting divorced, but it was like very important to me, that this is it. And if for some reason, worst case scenario, he died and I found love again after that, like, that's the only reason I see us not ever being together. I probably wouldn't have that big, beautiful wedding again. You know what I mean? I don't know. It felt special to me, and it was so important to me, and I was working so hard for it that I was going to have what I wanted. And with us being in Vegas and the majority of our family and friends back in Washington, we decided to have the wedding in Washington. And so it was a lot of out-of-state planning, which came with its own hurdles. But we picked the most beautiful venue.
Yeah.
A 500-year-old castle, originally from England, brought over and rebuilt brick by brick. It's called Thornwood Castle. It's on American Lake in Lakewood, Washington, and it's a bed and breakfast. It is, think of Secret Garden meets Alice in Wonderland, meets like medieval
Ferngully.
Gothic. Like, it's just so cool.
It's a really cool place.
And they have a sunken hidden garden that we got married in with wildflowers everywhere, grass everywhere. This beautiful old Gothic style brick it's not Airbnb, but like hotel basically, but it's so amazing wood, just so cool. And we had a 1920s Gatsby themed wedding. It was very formal, very beautiful, and just it was such a beautiful evening.
Yeah, we flew out our pastor
from
to
Vegas to marry
from
us.
Vegas, which was really cool. That was very, very special.
He's been one of the pastors in my life since I was 10. He watched me grow up. So it was very, very special to have him there. And then we decided our farewell, instead of like sparklers, this is the funniest story.
Oh, yeah.
We had to take out a $2 million insurance policy to have our wedding at this place.
Yeah.
How much does that cost?
And
it really wasn't
much.
that bad. It was like $500 for the night, but it was
a large
insurance. It was a requirement. They're like,
Whoa.
you must do this. And it was like, ooh,
and
okay.
we had gotten authorized to be able to light lanterns, like the ones that float away. And we were going to do that as our farewell, have everyone write love notes, well wishes for the happy couple for us. And we were going to light them over the lake. And that was going to be like the end of our evening. And it happened to be a little windy. None of us had done lanterns. There's definitely a way to do them and to let them fully fill with air before you let them go.
No idea what we were.
The Pacific Northwest, just to set the stage, there's a lot of trees, a lot of brush, and
it hadn't rained.
In a while.
So very dry vegetation.
And one lantern flew directly into a tree while it was on fire.
We're talking a 120-year-old massive tree.
Right next to this castle.
Next to the castle. And we're like, oh, dear Lord. Everybody about fainted.
Everyone was screaming, running, like we didn't know what to do. Thank heavens it's like snuffed itself out.
It kind of snuffed itself out. Yeah. We were like,
I just remember thinking, is this a bad omen? Like, are we doomed? We like looked at each other like, what are we going to do? But yeah, anyway, we went back to Vegas and life kind of got rocky for a hot minute. I had been on such a high and hard work of planning the wedding. I mean, it was like every ounce of my waking day was spent either researching, planning, providing, working for the money. I was putting in 12-hour days, like 5-6 days a week. And then I all of a sudden had nothing to work on. Like,
nothing to work towards.
And my body was so used to operating at such a high level of stress for a very long time. It really wasn't healthy for me that I ended up full blown in the darkest spiral of depression. I mean, one of them I've ever had. And I mean, sobbing, crying. And poor Josh, there was a moment where he was just like, are we going to make it through this? Like, can I endure this? Like, she is not the woman that she was before. And we're supposed to be celebrating this like happy honeymoon phase of our relationship. Our relationship has always been a really slow burn. There was never this wild romantic honeymoon phase. And so he's expecting like, now we're married. I got her. I'm like so content. And now she's deeply, darkly depressed.
Yeah, it was very, very dark. And it got me very depressed too as well, because, I'm a fixer, like I guess most guys are. I just wanted to fix it. How do I fix how you feel? And I was striking out. And so of course it got to a point where I think like anybody's going to feel it, I started taking it personal. Like, this has to be me. You're feeling this way because of, I don't know, maybe deep down regret, insecurities, questioning yourself. Of course, I threw that all on me. And yeah, it kind of put me in a very dark place too. And I'm like, wow, we just went through one of the
Best moments of our
best
life.
moments of our life to, you know, about as rocky as it could get in a 0 to 60 moment, or more like the other way around. It was just 100 miles an hour, e-brake stop, and it was, yeah, it was rough. It was really rough.
Sounds like it
And
was a real challenge to your vows all of a sudden.
It was. I feel like that's kind of, there's been a lot of those seasons though where like
yeah,
life kind of wanted to take us out. Let's call it evil doesn't want the light to shine, or a good holy like union to thrive and flourish. um we kind of had lost focus. God wasn't the center, I don't think, at that moment. We like weren't supporting each other maybe in
probably not
ways.
communicating the way we should be, which again is the root to a lot of issues to relationships, right? And again, we'll kind of go into that a little bit later, but it's
But I feel like there was always this like special protection over us. And when we lean into each other and we start, I mean, we're really good at doing things together and supporting each other in like so many different areas. And as long as like in that moment we found each other, back to each other in fitness and like taking care of our health, and then we kind of had something to look forward to again. We
yeah,
waited 3 months to go on our honeymoon.
yeah, and that the honeymoon was great. We went to Costa Rica.
Ooh.
Funny enough, there's we went on a Groupon.
We did.
I didn't.
It was a
I didn't
Groupon
know
trip.
Groupon did trips to Costa Rica.
Tell you
And it
what,
was
tell you
amazing.
what,
I'm
we've
gonna
gone
have
on
to
a couple
look.
Groupon trips.
Really?
Groupon trips are legit. I will endorse those to anybody that has any interest in making a very inexpensive fun trip. They're great. But
It was a partially guided tour. We got to meet 25 other people.
we're still friends with a handful of them, and that was from, 11 years ago. We always kind of joke and say, wouldn't it be cool to get the old
The
gang
gang
back
back together.
together for for another big trip someplace. And yeah, that was a great trip. um I always, especially locals, if we go out of the country, I'm like, okay, I got to befriend somebody that's a local, and that's just kind of my thing. But yeah, no, that was a very, very special trip, and I think that kind of recalibrated us again when we came back home.
Yeah.
That's when we started becoming a lot more focused on fitness. That was kind of like, again, the new, I don't want to say obsession, but it was the new drive that we had.
Well, I think I had a freak out moment just because, again, how important marriage was to me. Like all of a sudden it hit me. It became so real. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, one, what did I do? Two, like, Ashley, you just made the biggest decision of your commitment of your entire life. Now there was all this pressure on me that I had to like make it work and see it through and all these things, because I wanted so badly, like, that merging from two people to becoming one unit, like that. There was a mourning period for me. I mourned for a second the old version of Ashley because I knew I had to shed her in order to become Mrs. Layton. There was no longer Ashley Paulson. And I think that season, or that couple month depression thing, had a lot to do with that. I was mourning the version of me, the identity that I had always carried as this independent woman that didn't need a man. I could do it all myself. I grew up with a mom that kind of taught me that because of the life that she had lived and the decisions that were made and multiple marriages and multiple men in the life. And I was surrendering to that. I was laying that down and choosing to have something different, and then going on that honeymoon and just having so much fun and just knowing like, okay, you made the right decision. Like, this man loves you. This man nurtures into you. I mean, this man lays out your vitamins every single morning so you don't have to think about it. Like, this man, even though he doesn't ever need to lose weight, will like go on the same meal plan as me just to hold me accountable because he knows it's hard to do something alone. Like, you are so giving and so loving and so connected to like my needs. Like, I hadn't had that before. I hadn't had a man stop and pause long enough to like know what I needed before I had to say it, or even maybe even knew that I needed it myself.
That's nice. Thank you.
And then all of a sudden we woke up one day, fast forward, Shortly after, I think we're maybe a month or two back from the honeymoon, and you were like, I'm ready to have kids. And I was like, oh gosh. Oh, here we go.
And that was again one of those God moments for me, because that was not in my mind at all. That was, I mean, of course, you grow up and you think of the time you get married and have kid, whatever. But there's not, there's never really a plan. Well, it never was for me. There was never really a clear plan of what that looked like. Um, and for the longest time, didn't even know if I wanted that to happen.
Again, we were open. We both had,
Yeah,
I wasn't,
I wasn't like a no, but I was like, if it doesn't happen, I don't really care either way. But yeah, I just kind of woke up one morning and was like, I want to have kids. And it just came out of my mouth, just like the whole kind of marriage thing for me too, it was just this like immediate sense of clarity. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I know I want it. And yeah, that was crazy. It took almost a year for us to get pregnant. And
this story's so cool though.
And funny enough, we ended up getting pregnant at Thornwood Castle, where we got married.
So talk about this. So we tried for 11 months, couldn't get pregnant. I'd miss a period here and there, would end up, starting a week or two later. Like I didn't even really consider that a miscarriage. But just like was starting to get frustrated. We had been training so hard. We really had taken fitness into, account prior or after the wedding. And so for that year, we were very avid in the gym. I had dropped a lot of weight. I was probably in the best shape of my life. But I think almost underweight. Like I needed to let go of some of that heart, like that just grind, and soften a little bit. Like I ended up gaining 10 pounds. I said enough's enough. Like I'm sick of getting my period and it just like gut wrenching my heart. Like it wasn't fun. It felt like a job. It felt like we were losing that spark and that intimacy between us, because it was just like so much pressure to start a family and it wasn't happening. A lot of prayer. And we decided to just like, let's let loose. Let's enjoy the summer. Let's not think about it anymore. And we ended up flying back to Washington. It was our 1-year anniversary coming up. And we didn't get to actually stay at the castle on our wedding night. We had the celebration there, but we didn't stay the night there. And we had always wanted to stay there. It's, a special bed and breakfast. And so we said, okay, well, at 1 year, we'll go back and we'll stay on our anniversary and it'll be like a special remembrance. And so we were going for another wedding that actually didn't happen, but that's a different story. So the night before that wedding was supposed to happen is when we stayed, and we checked in and we had fun and we drank a little wine and we made love. And my mom at this point had told me, Ashley, have you stood on your head? And I said, no. And she's like, you need to stand on your head afterward. That's the secret. And I'm like, okay. And so I stood on my head. We took a picture.
Yeah, we got pictures of it, which is
we
hilarious.
made like, we laughed. We sent it to my mom the next morning. And I said, can you guess what I did? Like, but the next day I woke up. It was so weird. Like I woke up, I think I threw up the next day. We like went to see his family before flying home. And I didn't feel good already. Didn't think anything of it though. And like, I don't know, we get home a few weeks later. We have some friends come to town. I'm out. I was like getting irritable with them. I'm like, what is wrong with me? We were going wine tasting the next day for a girlfriend's birthday. And my periods were always like on. And I was supposed to have started that day. And like no symptoms, no signs of a period coming. And I was just like, holy moly, like, what if I am? And he's like, well, if you don't get it today, let's take a test tomorrow. And so I remember the next day you went to work and I like couldn't wait. I was going to like take a test. And if it was positive, I was going to try to surprise him. I couldn't. So I took a test and it was positive. And
I think you texted me.
I do. It was like so not special. Yeah. I couldn't hold it in.
Texted me and I'm like, oh, and then I call her immediately and I'm like, well, we're doing this. Like, we're doing this.
We were
Game on.
so excited.
So,
And then, yeah, pregnancy was rough. We had a beautiful baby girl, Lennon. Lennon's 9 now. And a lot of life in between her, and we have another daughter, Indy, who's now 5. A lot of life lived in there. We lived in Vegas. We spent some time apart. I took a job in Mexico for a while. We did long distance for a year, and had our hardships, but we always have found each other our way back. We are advocates for couples therapy. We loved it. We think it's a tool that is like so helpful on getting on the right page with communication.
Yeah, we just quitted another session about a month ago. So just to give a little hope to anybody that's worried that if they're in a long-term relationship, that the therapy is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing.
It's a very good thing, especially when you can find a therapist that aligns with your values as a couple. Marriage takes work. It has not been the easiest thing, but my goodness, like, it's the most rewarding thing to choose him and know that I'm chosen back. To be in partnership with your very best friend. I think being best friends is so important. Like, the romance comes and goes. There's ups and downs and seasons, and especially, in different peaks of life and different pulls with career. And especially when you throw kids into the mix, like, there's nights where you're tired. And when we've felt like, I don't know, more roommates probably, or more friends than lovers. But like, the amount of respect we have for each other, just
force yourself to date each other too.
It's so important,
because that's one thing that we've been really good at is not allowing a lot of time in between.
But really, we found things that we enjoy to do together. Like, we genuinely like hanging out together. We never stopped doing the things that we did when we were just friends and dating, even like snowboarding and camping and hanging out with friends and going to concerts. Like, we've kept up on that. And we are night and day different people than we were when we first dated, like unrecognizable, I would say. And I think the key to us in that way has just been like, we've not kept each other from having dreams individually. We've supported, like, we've taken on different roles. Sometimes you're going to be the supporter in a relationship and you're going to stand side by side, but help elevate them. And then your time's going to come where the roles are going to reverse. And now it's your time to shine, and that person is meant to like stand shoulder to shoulder and help support you. There's been times in our 15 years together that financially I carried more weight than he did early on in our relationship. I made more money and supported us. And then, when we've had kids, life has taken a turn and now he supports us. It's like, we've both made a commitment that we're in this and it takes both of us to make it work.
But it's a choice.
It is.
I mean, to those that want to seek the 24-hour butterflies, you'll learn real quick that that's not real. But really leaning into every stage of your partner throughout your entire life, for people that get, I guess, antsy when it comes to the variety, right? I think a lot of people, unfortunately go into infidelity because they want something different. Well, if you look at your partner in all the stages that you've gone through, that's a different person every single time. Commit to that one. Because the grass, I mean, we know that the grass is not greener. It's greener where you water it. I know that's cliche, but it's the God's honest truth. And it's it's never going to be easy. But guess what? You get a divorce and you date somebody else a year down the road, you're gonna have the same feeling.
Yeah.
So it's
and the same problems and the same
exactly, that butterfly dies after a period of time. But the nice thing is, if you nurture the one you have, that butterfly reappears.
And it's even more beautiful. Like, that's so hard to explain to someone, but like, you're gonna go with a relationship through everything. If you're lucky, I guess you're going to go through all the ups and the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. the pain, the sickness, the roller coaster ride of life with someone, but the joys become even more joyful
Yeah.
than they were early on. And like, it's just, it's so worth it. It's almost so rewarding. Like when you can get out of that season of lull of just stagnancy, because that happens. And then you find each other again. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with you. Like I'm more obsessed with you now than I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel and we laugh and say that because like we never again had that honeymoon phase. Like it's been this slow, steady burn,
Mm-hmm.
almost too slow in the beginning. And we had every reason for us not to work. But fate and I too believe God just kind of kept pushing us together. And once we surrendered into that and made a commitment to nurture that, to feed that, to be honest and open to growing together, like it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
And
so
I
cool.
love
the,
too that like you guys made that choice now, just a few months back to move to Utah, and you probably
We
have
did.
more time together now
We do.
than
So
so you
we
have to it's a whole new phase now of life
it is. And
like all the
we're
time.
kind of learning, this new navigation. We know that now we have two little girls who are looking at us as role models, and we knew that we needed life to slow down. Like there was no way it was going to slow down in the current situation we were living in. And so we made a radical shift, moved out to a small town just to try to slow life down a little bit. My dream is always to be home with the kids more and be a more hands-on wife and not be I dreamed of an opportunity where I didn't have to go to work 5 days a week full time, and with a lot of hard work we've been able to make that happen, and shift my schedule around where I can work 9 days out of the month and be home with the family the other days. And so yeah, we just moved to Utah, what, 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago,
yeah, and again,
and
that was
it's
also one
really
of
good.
those like woke up and just did it sort of moments. There wasn't a lot of build up to it. So that's where again,
Took a leap of faith.
it's very much a leap of faith. It's again these little God moments that it's hard to deny that there's any other sort of influence,
Mhm.
especially to somebody that is an overanalyzer. So anybody that's listening to this that might feel like, oh hey, I kind of relate to that guy. Um, it's a challenge, but trust God. I don't know how else to say it.
Mhm.
I mean, especially if if that person is spiritual and um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a fun ride. It's going to continue to be a fun ride, and um, I don't know. So it's
It's only
I,
just begun.
Yes, it
yeah.
has.
I don't even know what else to say because I'm like I can't even predict what's going to happen tomorrow. But I know that I'm excited to do it with her,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and really there's no other person I want to be around.
Mm.
We had a fun little vow renewal in Las
Okay,
Vegas
yeah.
on our 10-year anniversary.
Mhm.
Um, and we had so much fun that we decided like every 10 years we'd like to honor our vows again
Sure.
and just publicly recommit and celebrate with the people that are in our life in that moment. It was just a really fun time. And the
It's
first
very
wedding was
Vegas-y.
serious and emotional.
Yeah.
It was very
Yeah. Very.
Vegasy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very.
But
Yeah.
the first one was beautiful and emotional and important and just like sacred. And this second
And this one
one
was just a party.
reflected just like
Just a good time.
celebration. It was just pure
Yeah.
fun and celebration. And then the next one, I'd love to incorporate the kids, and who
Mhm.
knows? So
That's beautiful. Well, thank you
Mhm.
so much for sharing your sweet love story. I just love how you
Mhm.
guys are so supportive of each other. Um, I know that there's been times of trying different entrepreneurial things, and just the support that you guys have for each other. It's just amazing. So I'm just
thank
really
you.
grateful that you guys were here, that you shared your story. And I just want to say, friends, remember that love doesn't always arrive fast, but it always arrives on time, as they showed you.
Sure does.
So, question: have you subscribed to our podcast yet? If not, just click and follow or subscribe. There's that little button. Just go ahead and click that so that you don't miss a single story, because there's no two stories alike, but every story is inspiring. It's delightful. And visit our website to learn more about Josh and Ashley. They have links there that go along with all the things that they're doing, so you could connect with them. You could see what other little entrepreneurial things that they're doing. You want to see their beautiful photos that are there. They have their wedding. Well, we've got the 10-year. Got so many great photos. They're very photogenic, just to let you know. Again, that's at unexpectedlovestories.com. Just look for the link below in the show notes. It's just right there, take you right to their page. And while you're there, I want you to download a special gift that I've made for you. It's a beautiful guide to help you capture and document your own love story in a variety of creative ways. Your story is a gift, and it's worth sharing. Well, I hope that your heart feels lighter and full of hope after hearing this beautiful story. Often the best love stories are the ones we never saw coming. So keep your heart open, because love is truly waiting for you. We'll see you next time.